There are multiple reports on X that Ripple's banking license will be approved as early as today. This sounded a little weird to me, so of course I deep dived into it. I got all of the information, all of the facts surrounding this. I also wanted to explore this clip here talking about the institutional use for XRP. If Ripple gets a banking license, what could that mean? What does it mean to have a direct master account with the Fed for RLUSD? We also have some new information from Matthew LINY. We're going to get into it. Axelar information for Son has an update too on XRP. Lots of really cool information here. So here is the rumor. Multiple sources report Ripple's U.S. national banking license is set for approval today. I saw this and I was like, warning signs, warning flashed in the back of my head. And I was like, this doesn't sound right. So first, I wanted to go ahead and just look up Ripple's, bank charter, what their application looked like. And this is what that actually is here. You can see the spokesperson, the person of contact is right here. Maybe if you want to call this person, you can, I guess. But here is the proposed charter number 25364. And then I wanted to take a look at how long does it actually take for a normal banking license to be approved, because this is not a new thing. We have seen thousands, tens of thousands of banks come before this. So we have a good understanding of how long the government usually takes to do this types of things. So here it is. Ripple has applied for a U.S. national banking charter with the OCC, the Office of Comptroller of Currency, as confirmed by the company, Ripple, the company, and multiple news media sources that are legitimate. If approved, Ripple would become the first crypto payment company licensed by the federal agency in the United States, enhancing its legitimacy and ability to offer a broader range of financial services, things like loans. Lending is a big part of this. If you remember way back, Ripple always wanted to be a lender of last resorts. This is the way that they're going to be able to do that. How long does it usually take for a banking license to be approved? So first you have to submit a detailed application to the OCC or the relevant state authority. That is what this is right here on the screen. After that, you need approval from the Deposit Insurance and Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC. I haven't seen that approval come in yet. You also need extensive review of the business plan, management, finances, and risk controls. When something says extensive review, this usually takes longer than a few days or a few weeks. Ripple just applied for this banking charter last week. So could we have an extensive review in just a few days? Not likely. Additional approvals if the bank seeks direct Federal Reserve access, which Ripple is doing. So not only does Ripple need to jump through all these hoops, not only is there an extensive review of their application and everything that they've submitted, but there's additional approvals on top of that. So we know for sure that this is smelling pretty fishy, and we know that this information is not accurate, okay? But is same day approval even possible? I wanted to even take a look at this, right? Because can it even happen? Here we go. In recent years, new bank applications have increased, but approvals remain slow, subject to rigorous regulatory scrutiny. So that's how long it still takes. And then here is the same day. There is no precedent for same day or even same week approval of the national bank charter in the United States. The process is methodical and involves multiple regulatory bodies and public comment periods. They haven't even had any public comment periods, so we know that this is not even close to being accurate. And even if this person wanted to research this, they would have found out that this is not even possible, hence that this post is complete BS. And, this is probably for engagement. This person doesn't take this very seriously, but on this channel, we take this all extremely seriously, and we want to know. We want to find out. And if you put something in front of me, I am going to spend as much time as I need on it to really understand it clearly so I can explain it to you and we can all be on the same page. So let's keep going here. Even with strong compliance credentials and capital, as Ripple claims, instant approval is highly unlikely. The impact though on XRP, could it hit $5 instantly? This was the other part of this post. I'm not even going to get into that, but I did want to get into this next clip here. Let's play this.
Look, recently we've spoken about Hidden Road, the brokerage service coming in, and their use of the XRP ledger and the RLUSD token, the stable coin, as collateral. And that's just been confirmed by CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently. But then out of the blue, Ripple decides they want to go as a federal bank, getting a license to be a bank from the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, and then also possibly apply for a Fed master account. and I'm just like blown away. It is a massive move. So if it comes off, it hasn't come off yet, but if it does come off, well, there's some serious value there. So yes,
I love it, man. Is he an Aussie or Kiwi? I don't know, but I love the accent, man. Truly love the accent. I know a lot of people from Australia watch the channel, so I love you guys. Thank you for all your support. But here, let's see. He didn't really answer the question of what Ripple has to gain by having this Fed Master account. So of course, I wanted to better understand that. So here we go. What would Ripple gain from having a Fed Master account? If Ripple secures both a national banking license and a Federal Reserve Master account, it would unlock several strategic advantages. Those advantages would be direct access to the U.S. financial system. So bypassing SWIFT or any of the other connections. Remember, Ripple really is a connector between the traditional system and the new system, right? Blockchain system. And their applications, their technology interconnects all of this. Ripple could bypass all of that interconnectedness and go directly into the system through their technology. So you have like Volante and CGI Worldwide and all of these, big financial Temenos, right? That is Ripple's connected into them and they're connected into all of this. Now Ripple would have that direct connection, which would be incredible. Ripple could interact directly with the Federal Reserve's payment rails, which is FedWire, FedACH, and FedNow. Remember, FedWire is $4.3 trillion per day. They handle a lot of cross-border types of things, and you could use XRP to enable the entire U.S. financial system through this if you really wanted to. Not saying that's going to happen, but a guy can dream, right? And enabling real-time settlement of transactions and bypassing intermediary banks. The custodian for stablecoin reserves at the Fed, Ripple would be able to hold reserves for its RLUSD stable directly at the Federal Reserve, providing unmatched security and transparency. So there really is nothing more secure than the Federal Reserve here in the United States. Obviously, if that ever came under threat, that could collapse the entire system. But Ripple having an account directly with them would show that any other partnership that Ripple is working on or talking with, they know that Ripple is at the top of the pyramid. Like they are, the king, right? They're up there with BNY Mellon and Chase and Bank of America. That's what their gravitas would be. Faster and cheaper payments, direct settlement with the Fed would allow Ripple to offer instant low cost cross-border payments, domestic payments, reducing operational costs and friction for users and institutions. Remember, all of that Nostro Vostro money could come back. That money could be put into the economy. Think of how much good could be done. New home loans, new car loans, new student loans, all of these things could be put back into everyday people and the economy. Operational autonomy. Ripple could issue and redeem stablecoins outside normal banking hours, offering 24/7 financial services, a significant leap over most traditional banks. So look, Ripple becomes a bank. They can offer 24/7, 365. What does that do? That puts pressure on every other bank. You want to stay a bank, you want to be here in 5 or 10 years. Well, now you're going to have to use this technology, because if you don't, your customers are going to ask where it is. And when you don't have a real good answer, like, sir, it's coming, right? We're working on it, sir. Oh no, we don't believe in that blockchain stuff. How long are you going to keep your account at that bank? So this really does put a rush is probably the wrong word, but it would put some pep in the step of these financial institutions to actually get something going with, some type of blockchain infrastructure. And of course, Ripple, this would be like giving them the keys to the kingdom, right? Everybody always said that XRP is a joke coin. It's all bull stuff. They're never going to get the adoption. They're never going to get in these meetings. They're never going to get these central banks. And Ripple has proven these people wrong at every single turn for 5 years. You don't know how many comments I read of people telling me I was wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. They look pretty silly now. And I look like I know what I was talking about. And you look like you know what you were talking about. So we can leave all of the drama and all of this stuff, people talking in your ear. Just say, hey, I've done my research. I know where I need to be, right? This is where I need to be. Okay. And so Ripple would have an advantage over most crypto players. A first mover advantage. Ripple would have a first major blockchain company in the United States with both national banking and federal master license, institutional trust, competitive edge of other blockchains, and integration in traditional financial system. All right. So Matthew Liny did post this some DTCC information June 25th. Voluntary testing of ISO FedWire funds format will be available June 23rd through July 11th. And then also here, I wanted to take a look at some information on documents that he provided to see if there's anything that maybe I was missing. And it says ISO 20022 compliant tokens, XRP, Cardano, Quant, Algorand, Stellar, HBAR, Hedera, Halfgraph, IOTA, XDC. People are always asking Sensei, what tokens should I be researching and looking at? On your screen, there's 8 really good ones that you could do that. And then of course, this date is July 14th. Is something impactful going to happen on July 14th? Time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. Also watching green shoots on Axelar scan, 16 million into the XRP ledger in the past 24 hours, guys. The floodgates have opened, and Ethereum should be a little worried about this because now we have EVM capability smart contracts, and we have one of the fastest networks around right now. And XRP, Ripple, this entire infrastructure is just going to explode. And I'm so we are going to ride the wave here, and it's going to be so incredible. Even Verson says, when the entire financial system builds on Ripple's infrastructure, XRP doesn't just participate, it becomes the foundation of that infrastructure, settlement, liquidity, sovereign coverage in one asset. That's how XRP becomes the global reserve currency. Guys, what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something, please hit like, please share with somebody you know. We are on the way to 100,000 subscribers. I can't thank you enough. Have a truly fantastic weekend. Bye. Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Please seek financial advice if you need it. Let's get back to the video.